Hello YouTube, welcome back to the Web Gear Review. I am your host, the Web Gear Guy, and today I would like to continue on in the series of videos about the Korean War. And today what I would like to do is take a look at some of the equipment that was used by the United States forces during the Korean War. And before we get into that, I would like to ask those who have not subscribed to the channel, if you could take a second and do that for me. That highly help the channel out and help the channel grow. Why don't everybody share this content with your friends and those abroad that you think may be interested in it, and hit that like button. Okay, now let's look at this stuff here. Now, the Korean War was from 1950 to 1953. Now, what you're looking at here is the M45 Pack, and this is some of the reason that the Korean War is known as the Forgotten War, because World War II had just ended, 6 years earlier? And, you know, everybody was tired of war at the time, but the Korean War kicked off, and a lot of the equipment that was used during the Korean War was actually late war World II equipment. So this is the main combat pack that was used during the Korean War by the U.S. Army. Now, what we're looking at is an M1945 combat field pack right here. Okay, and M1945 combat suspenders. They got the extra padding right there on them. See that? From the 44 suspenders. And then you had the M1945 cargo field pack. Now, these two pieces of equipment was designed to use together. As you already know, these straps right here could buckle these two together and they become one pack. So, but they were made detachable, so this cargo bag could become like a garrison bag or something like that also. Now, to take a look at the M45 pack, let's look at it a little closer here. Okay, now it had a place here to hang your entrenching tool or your entrenching equipment of some kind, an M1910 hanger. It had an M19 hanger right here for the M1 bayonet, and the scabbard would go behind here. It's got these two straps to put the horseshoe row on it right there. Okay, and this pack here is dated 1951, and these straps are dated 1951, and the cargo bag itself right here is dated 1951. Now, the combat pack right here, it was designed to carry the bare essentials into combat, okay? The necessities, you know, and then the meat can, rations, although it was during the Korean War that the meat can began to get left behind with the field kitchen and was not carried so much into. But this pack was designed late 45, okay? So therefore it was designed to carry it, but during the Korean War it became more of a way to leave the meat can back at the field kitchen, okay? Now, if you take a look at this cargo bag, this thing here was more made to carry the bivouac equipment, okay? They could carry the sleeping bag in there. They could carry extra clothing, things like that. Notice this handle up here. That handle was put there so they could be like a garrison bag, where they could take this, say you get a little R&R in Tokyo. And so you can take this, put your stuff in here, and you got a little garrison bag. The buckles on the top are just to retain these straps when you don't have it attached to the combat field pack, okay? But let me touch on just a little thing here. Now, as collectors, we like to have a set of equipment during the war dates, okay? Now, this stuff is all dated 1951. I'll show you that just here in a second, if you bear with me. But what I want to say is after World War II, the war ended in 1945. There were stockpiles and oodles and gobs of these M1945 packs in the current system. So chances are, just 6 years later, that most of the packs that reached and were used during the Korean War, no doubt, were some from the stockpiles of the dated 1945. Okay, so these are dated 1951. The packs dated 1950, 51, 52, and 3. The actual Korean War dates may have been built too late to even get into the Korean War. Now, I'm not saying a 51 or 52 pack or 1950 dated pack was not in the Korean War, but it was more likely some of the earlier dated packs were probably the first ones to go into combat into Korea. Now, in 1949, I've seen some of these packs dated. So those are probably the actual dates. So if you're reenacting a 1945 date pack is just fine for reenacting in the Korean War. But us as collectors, we like to have a pack dated during the war years. So let me show you these right here real quick and see if I can show you the dates. And there is one other thing that I want to mention about the M1945 pack, and that is that the some of these buckles can be a little rough sometimes. Okay, get that pillow out of there. See if I can get this turned around for you. I don't know if you can see that not, but it's the White Bush Manufacturing Company, 18 January 1951. Hopefully you can see that. Okay, that's the cargo bag. And then let's take a look at the on these 1945 suspenders. The dates a lot of times are underneath the padding here. Now this date here is getting kind of vague, faded. I don't know if you can see that at all, but I'll stick it up there. Okay, I couldn't quite make the manufacturer now, but let me go ahead and open this up. I'll show you the date of it. But, you know, it's nice to have a set of combat gear dated during the war years. Okay, this is the Atlantic Production Company, 1951. Okay, let's see if you can see that. Okay, now the last thing I want to talk about is the M1945 Combat Field Pack that was used during the Korean War. It had a shortcoming. The shortcoming was that it was not big enough to carry all the equipment that a soldier needed to stay warm during the Korean War. When the Korean winter hit, you're talking, especially up in the north, you know, 60, 70 below zero. And this stuff is just not big enough to carry all the equipment. So what happened was, as the war kind of grew stagnant, and these combat field packs and stuff began to get left into the bunkers and kind of left in the rear, and they would venture up on into combat with different combinations of equipment and gear. Stay tuned for more videos on the Korean War, and I want to show you some of those different combinations that the soldiers would use instead of carrying this combat field pack, because it wasn't big enough to carry what they needed in the first place. Thanks for watching the Web Gear Review.